and welcome to Down to Earth. Our question this week is what to do about all of those weeds that have taken over our yards this year. With all of that winter rain, I think everyone is probably just taken over by weeds, no matter if it's your lawn or your garden beds. My yard happens to be riddled with 3 weeds: henbit, monstrous, gargantuan dandelions, and a little wintry grass, a little grass called wintergrass. Most of those weeds are too large for herbicides to do any damage to at this point. If your grass is still dormant, you could possibly use a glyphosate product to kill them, but those large weeds it really won't make much difference on. So instead, you really need to either hand pull them, which I know will be a huge job, or use something like a weed popper to get those out as much as possible. The ones that you can't get out, the smaller ones other than your dandelions, go ahead and mow those down to remove as many seeds as possible to help keep those weeds from returning. But many of them do return from seeds, and they'll do that next fall, the way they did this fall, and grow through the winter. So you do need to apply a pre-emergent in the fall and spring of next year to keep those under control. Our plant this week is Gazania rigens. And the cultivar I'd like to highlight today is Aztec Orange. There are many different cultivars of this flower, and so choose the one that you like. This plant is small and clumping, but it does also spread to create a ground cover if that's what you would like it to do. It is perennial and sometimes evergreen here in our landscapes, which makes it a nice winter feature. It is native to southern Africa, but it's not invasive here, and it's very easy to find in nurseries. It likes full sun, but it can also take light shade. It does prefer well-drained soil, but it's tolerant of other soils. Just if you have a very heavy clay soil, it would be good to amend your beds to make that a little more water draining. It's also very drought tolerant, but it does like a little more water if you can give it to it just through the hot months of the summer, especially a summer like we had last year. Hopefully we won't have a summer like that again. It does have an underground stem, so you really want to be careful about overwatering this plant because that stem will rot and the crown will die back. The flowers on this plant are bright orange with a deep orange stripe. It does bloom from spring all the way through fall, so it makes it a great plant for us here. Those flowers do close at night and open again the next day. This plant has virtually no insects or diseases, which makes it a very low maintenance plant. And again, I said it's very easy to find in the nurseries. It doesn't require much fertilizer. In fact, I wouldn't fertilize these plants at all. And you do need to space them about 12 inches apart if you want them to clump and be a single flower, and 4 to 6 inches apart if you want them to spread together and be more of a ground cover. To do in your garden this week, it's time to fertilize your roses again. We fertilize those about every 6 weeks, and also you should fertilize your fruit trees at this time. You also need to watch for the re-emergence of any dead plants that you might think have died over the winter. Watch for those because they could be coming back for you right about now. We'd love to hear from you. Send us your question or plant of the week from your garden to klru.org/ctg.